Tonight, things are heating up as we hear from a former Secretary of State about climate change.
Also, we see where presidential candidates fall on the Green New Deal. See it live starts now. Hundreds of people came to Bovard Auditorium today to see former Secretary of State John Kerry speak about climate change.
Annenberg Media's Tanvi Varma shows us Kerry's message and what left an impression on students.
The threat of climate change is real. That was the message of former Secretary of State John Kerry at today's Climate Forward conference here at USC.
People are dying today, and more people will die because of the effects of climate change.
Attendees say Kerry's call to action applies to both politicians and our daily lives.
I mean, I do think that we need to have better laws and better regulations, but I think people also need to look at, do they really need 2 or 3 cars? Do they really need a house that big? Do they really need to take that trip?
Some people took public transportation to this conference. It's another way people can take a small step towards change.
There's a beginning to be action toward having a tax on entering the city or entering a certain part of the city so that there's less cars used. And I think we could work harder on getting the mass transportation, the metro.
Students were so impressed with Kerry's talk that even with their busy class schedules, they continued to line up here at Town and Gown to hear more about what people can offer in terms of alternative fuels.
How do we make it something incentivizing to switch over to solar, to wind, to solve the problems that we have with renewable energies and make them the standard?
Kerry said the damage from climate change could cost the country trillions of dollars in the future and that we need to be innovative to tackle this crisis.
The biggest thing in my judgment in terms of America's DNA, our DNA is discovery. We're the country that invented the internet.
Kerry's message for widespread change was simple. Vote for leaders who want to take action on climate change. For Annenberg Media, I'm Tanvi Varma.
Earlier this year, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced the Green New Deal, what she says is a solution to address climate change. Although not legally binding, the 14-page resolution provides a framework of ideas that could lead to changes in policy. By the year 2030, the Green New Deal resolves to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by expanding and upgrading renewable power sources, create millions of union jobs, hiring local workers and paying competitive wages, make natural resources like clean water, air, and healthy food options accessible to all people, and increasing equity by providing resources, training, and higher education to vulnerable communities. We talked to a New York Times reporter about the Green New Deal.
This is one of the most important issues that we've ever covered. It's an issue that touches everybody and touches every part of everybody's lives. You know, what we hear time and again from, scientists and technology experts is the technology is there, it's technologically feasible, it's a political haul.
Compared to other states, California already has aggressive climate change policies in place. We spoke with the executive director of Climate Resolve, a Los Angeles-based nonprofit. He says he loves the vision behind the Green New Deal, but thinks a 10-year time frame is not realistic.
There was an executive order by Governor Brown to get to 100% carbon-free emissions in the state of California by the year 2045. And that is so much more aggressive than any other state. And the Green New Deal wants to get all of this done by the year 2030.
Parfrey says that California is on track to have 60% of its electricity from renewable sources by the year 2030.
Is America going to have its next green president? Climate change will definitely be an issue in the 2020 election. Each Democratic candidate for president has already articulated a stand on environmental policies. So here's a look at how Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, and Jay Inslee are planning to address climate change. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. Sanders is determined to cut carbon emissions 40% by 2030, as well as end federal subsidies to oil, coal, and gas industries. California Senator Kamala Harris supports the Green New Deal and the Paris Climate Accord. Her devotion to protecting climate goes back to when she was Attorney General. She's also been an open critic of climate skeptics. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg is a supporter of the Green New Deal as well. He considers climate change a threat to national security, and his campaign refuses to accept donations from the fossil fuel industry. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren doesn't have any specific policy objectives on her presidential campaign site, but she says she wants to rebuild infrastructure to address climate change. And Washington State Governor Jay Inslee is running on the issue of climate change. Inslee is determined to power the economy with clean energy, investing in clean infrastructure, and fighting for environmental justice. Today I talked to Professor Bob Shrum about the candidate.
Well, Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington, says that he's running exclusively or almost exclusively on the issue of climate change. But I don't think there's a great deal of disagreement among Democrats that this is a serious issue and that we have to do something about it. There may be some disagreements about details. I don't think that will matter a great deal.
Meantime, President Trump has a record of shutting down environmentally friendly policies. He scrapped a government climate change advisory group in 2017, but that group reconvened independently and just today released a report calling on local leaders to figure out solutions to global warming.
Last month, young people across the globe took part in strikes to draw attention to the environment. We spoke with some students who were involved with this movement.
I believe that the youth are striking because, we're going to be on this planet for another 70 years, right? Other generations don't have much time. We're going to see all these dire forecasts from climate change come true. We're going to see the seas rise. We're going to see heat waves get worse. We're going to see glaciers not just shrink, but entirely disappear. We have front row seats to this issue, and it's impacting us more than any other generation by far. And so that's why I believe a lot of youth are striking.
There was a large turnout across the globe during the youth climate strikes on March 15th. Over 1.6 million people protested across 120 countries.
The overall goal is that we have world leaders reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030. And we want world leaders to enact any policies or laws to keep us below 1.5 degrees Celsius.
A school's sustainability is now included in the rankings of universities. Several websites have sorted colleges on their success at going green. According to the Princeton Review, some of the top colleges for sustainability in 2018 were the University of Connecticut, Colorado State University, Stanford University, Dickinson University, and UC Davis.
Some Trojans will be making a splash tomorrow as they continue climate change discussions at USC's Wrigley Center on Catalina Island. Student delegates will be participating in a retreat called Catalina Day. They will attend workshops and have discussions with experts on the environment.
We're going to be breaking up into different groups, one group for each one of the panels, and each group will discuss what they thought were the key takeaways from that panel. And then we'll select the best ideas that all of the groups come up with and put that into the Catalina Declaration that will then launch either on or about Earth Day. We think it's a tremendous opportunity for students to get involved, and as we're hearing today, it is so important for young people to be the catalyst for change on climate change.
The retreat will last 2 days before students return to USC. USC seems to struggle to maintain environmental sustainability with some of its new buildings. We spoke to an expert in green energy and clean infrastructure to understand the university's lack of sustainability in urban development.
USC has been spending a lot of money building new buildings, and doesn't seem to me that there is any sustainability plan for those buildings. They don't use solar energy, they don't have recycled waters. I think that there is a disconnect from top management in this university. Everything's coming from top down, and the decisions are made, and people that have the leadership on sustainability, both the students and faculty, are not being heard.
Dr. Soibelman also said that faculty had ideas for clean energy and recycled water practices for the village when it was first designed, but the university was not interested in their pitches.
So how do USC students feel about global warming and the Green New Deal? Here's a sample of what we found.
Sad how this current president, Donald Trump, is not acknowledging that currently in such an important country as the United States that's so influential to all the world. I think they have to do more and be more responsible about this topic.
I think there was just like a clear indication here in California of like all the patterns of rain that we had here.
A lot of eco-friendly packaging and eco-friendly advertising are targeted toward women or female populations. So as a result, this could lead to a half of the population gearing towards eco-friendly products while half are still sticking with like plastic and other ways.
I think it's really ambitious, and I think there's nothing wrong with asking for the most with a problem like this.
All this talk about climate change might make you wonder what you can do to save our planet. Annenberg Media's Susie Plascencia is live outside Tudor Campus Center with some tips.
Hey guys, I'm here outside one of the busiest areas on campus during lunchtime rush hour. And something as easy as just cleaning up after yourself after having lunch can be a huge step for sustainability. I took some time to look around and find other quick and easy ways that you can be sustainable at home. Take a look. So even if your devices are not in use, they're still using power. Be sure to unplug them when you're not using them, or plug them all into an electronic strip and you can turn them all off at the same time at the press of a button. Instead of buying plastic water bottles, switch to refillable bottles. And when you're at home, make sure your home faucets are switched to the low flow option. Lastly, when you're brushing your teeth, make sure the water is completely off. Have a lot of battery-powered devices at home? Instead of going through tons of batteries, consider switching to rechargeable batteries instead. Your wallet and the environment will thank you. And lastly, don't forget to put all recyclables in their proper bin. Remember to go green and stay green on campus and at home. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Susie. A lot of those tips you mentioned seemed pretty simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought everybody turned the water off when they brush their teeth. At least that's what my mom taught me when I was a kid, right?
You know, I think my mom probably told me that too.
And I'm glad we used those reusable batteries in the media center.
Yeah, we're doing good over here, I think. Thank you for watching See It Live from everyone here at Annenberg Media. I'm Arlissa Norman.
And I'm Anwar Stetson. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com.